This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Mike Murphy.
Thank you, Charlie. Yes, I am Mike Murphy, host of the Good Neighbor Podcast. We bring local business owners from the community to your, to your computers, to your televisions. We want you to know local business owners as people, as humans, and hear their deeper why, hear their story so that you can care about them and know them as more than just a logo on a business card. So with me today is somebody who I recently met, and I was intrigued by a product that he and friends of his invented. I think it's one of the cooler things ever. Cooler being kind of one of the key words in that description, and you'll find out why in a moment. With me today is Anthony Bernas. He is the co-inventor, I believe, of the Cooler Keg. And so, Anthony, welcome to the show and tell us all about the Cooler Keg.
Thank you so much for having me. So the Cooler Keg is it's a portable kegerator. I call it a portable draft system built into a picnic cooler, but it allows you to take, whether it's draft beer or even, draft cocktails, cider, seltzer, anything you actually want to drink, and serve it on draft anywhere. So basically, if you can take a picnic cooler there, cans and bottles can be left behind. Now you can have draft.
That's interesting. So I've seen photos of it. I've seen pictures of it. I've had a chance to kind of do a drill down and understand it better.
Okay.
But if somebody were to just look at a photo of your product, the Cooler Keg, they may assume certain things about it.
Yes.
And so I want to make sure that people understand how does it work? What's the concept behind it?
So a lot of people see our product and they mistake it for what they see at like beer festivals. So if you've ever been to, an event where they've got 20, 30 breweries there, and you walk around with a little itty bitty tasting glass and you go to the different booths, and they'll have a cooler that has tap handles connected to it. And they serve you a little 2 to 3 ounce pour of, certain beers they have available. And that's called a jockey box. And what it is that's a cooler that just has a chiller inside of the cooler. And they've got full kegs, full CO2 systems under the table. And then the beer is flash chilled at the last second before it's served. So a lot of people see our product and say, oh, it's a jockey box. I've had one of those for years. I know what that is. And it's like, no, what this is actually is the entire draft system inside of the cooler itself. So you don't have a keg outside of the cooler. You don't have a CO2 system. Everything has been made smaller to fit inside of the cooler itself. So you've got ice packs, you've got kegs, the CO2 system, and even the draft tower itself, snugs inside the cooler for transporting. And then when you get to where you're going, you just attach the tower and attach the 2 draft lines with 2 clicks, and you're able to serve draft, at the beach, at the lake, at a tailgate, in your backyard, anywhere you want to take it. So it's a little bit different than the other things people have seen previously on the market. Because not only that, the kegs come with it. So another common question is, I've never seen a keg like that. I've never seen those at Party Source or, wherever they might get a pony keg. And it's like, well, no, these kegs come with it and they come empty and you fill it yourself. So you can take it to Braxton, you can take it to, Ryan Guys, wherever you want to go and get it filled like a growler if you're looking for fresh draft beer. But at home, you can also just crack open cans and bottles and fill it up before you head out onto the boat. And now you don't have to deal with, empties at the end of the day. You can also fill it with rum and Coke, margaritas, whatever you want to drink. And that's what makes it fun.
Yeah. And you can have, because it comes with 2 quote unquote kegs, right?
Correct.
That you can fill with whatever you want. So you can have on one side an alcoholic beverage and on the other side, non-alcohol, correct?
Correct.
And so you're using a self-contained CO2 system with the little cartridges and the lines and all that.
Exactly.
So it feels very much like, in my day, back in college, we had the keg on ice with our CO2 system or the old pump system, whatever.
Exactly.
And, there's a lot of work there, but, it was worth it.
Exactly.
So you've got the little tap that you're dispensing into your glass. So it has that same feel, but it's just a whole different take on that. And you're investing in that system, but you're able to reinvent it every single time you use it. Every single time you go to an event or whatever, or host a party. So I think it's really unique in that regard. I like the
Mhm.
fact that whatever you want to dispense into your glass,
Mhm.
you're in total control of that. And that's really cool.
Exactly, 'cause, I mean, otherwise, you have to go to the store and you're, like, in the keg section. You're like, "Let's see what they have available," and
Hmm.
if your favorite, brewery down the street only has certain, styles of beer available in the tap room, well, now you can go there and actually take those to your next barbecue. You can take that, home to your, man cave in the basement, or,
Hmm.
you're having a, picnic in your own backyard. So it just, yeah, it's a lot more fun that way, because it also allows you to support local businesses instead of just whatever, big box options they
Right.
have at the store.
Yeah. Plus, it makes you incredibly cool when people come to your party and they're like, "Hey, what's
Exactly. You
this?"
can just, it's just a stainless steel picnic cooler. It is very shiny, but it shows up. And then all of a sudden you open the lid and you have an entire kegerator inside, and you
Hmm.
take out, literally the draft tower is the same type of draft tower you would see on a kegerator or at the bar or at a restaurant. And so when you hook it up, it's like, oh, whoa, that's, unlike a keg, for example, where you have a little like thing that you have to pump on top, and you have a
Right.
little rubber hose and you just pull that.
Hmm.
This has the same look and feel. You're literally bringing the bar with you wherever you go.
Right. One thing I've worried about, or not worried about, but wondered about, is if you've got a situation where somebody likes beer, somebody likes wine. I
Hmm.
know with the CO2 system, it injects, there's carbonation, right?
Correct.
So if my wife wants, a Cabernet, um, Pinot Grigio, whatever,
Mhm.
how is it with a carbonated wine? Does it taste okay? What's that feel look like?
So right now, our system works off of CO2. So that's
Yeah.
all your carbonated beverages.
Hmm.
So we are working on a argon and nitrogen kit. And so
Okay.
argon will allow you to serve wine, because argon will never get absorbed into the liquid. And then
Okay.
nitrogen will allow you to do cold brew nitrogen, like cold brew coffee, as well as like Guinness.
Hmm.
But currently with the CO2, the way it works, it will. So, for example, if you have it filled with fresh draft beer, it'll maintain that carbonation and keep the draft, fresh for like a month.
Hmm.
You put in cans and bottles, again, it'll maintain the carbonation. If you put in, let's say, margaritas, it's going to serve them as is, no carbonation,
Hmm.
for probably 4 to 6 hours. But under pressure, whether it's wine, margaritas, cosmopolitans, I don't care what you're drinking. If you put them in a couple days ahead of time, it will become carbonated.
Okay.
So, like, for example, if you wanted to fill it with wine for a party and you knew your guests were going to, finish it within 4 or 5 hours, not a problem. But
Okay.
in the
All
long
right.
run, after 2 or 3 days, yeah, you'll get carbonated
Mhm.
margaritas. You can, like, it adds a fun twist to what you're going to
Mhm.
put in it.
All right. Yeah, but a twist that some might not appreciate. Some will, but I
Hmm.
think, all right, you've just kind of explained that quandary. I'm like,
Yeah,
what's that carbonated wine going to taste like? Um,
exactly.
so so
Yeah,
that
but
that that's
for
kind of
that, I
cool.
would wait on the argon. Yeah, nobody needs a
Yeah,
carbonated Cabernet
yeah.
Sauvignon.
But the point is, I mean, you've kind of thought ahead to all these situations and
Mhm,
scenarios, and you're always innovating, and you're always bringing new things uh, to market
mhm,
alongside the cooler keg. So, who else was involved in this
mhm.
idea? Who's on your team?
So, primarily, it's just two co-founders. So it's myself and Racine Gruberman, my better half. So we've been together for 14 years, and her parents actually retired to a lake in Michigan, and so we would go up to her parents' lake house with some friends, for a weekend in the summer, because it's just gorgeous, and they've got a little, they got a pontoon boat, and we would just go and relax and party with friends at the lake. And it was actually there that we kind of came up with the idea, because each year we would go, we'd get a little bit better at having fun on the water. So the first year we went, we had all kind, like, people had the donut style floats, and some people had this. We had one guy on pool noodles. It was just a mess. People all over the place. So the next year we all had better floats. And then we got like paracords and carabiners so that nobody would, float away. And after a couple of years of going out there, eventually that's where somebody came up with the question, like, what are we going to do next year that's better? And that's when I was like, next year we need a swim up bar. And I'm a project guy. So I was like, I like hammers and I like nails. So I was like, I'll build anything. And I was like, what do you want the bar to look like? He's like, I don't care what it looks like. He goes, I want to be able to pour draft beer at that bar in the water. I'm like, not even in the boat. I could drag a kegerator onto the boat with a power converter and plug it in. He's like, no, no, no. He was in the water. And that's where the idea was born. So it was
Yeah.
made to make having fun a little bit more fun.
Right. Yeah. We say necessity is the mother of invention. So yeah,
Exactly.
we all have different necessities in our lives, and that was certainly one of them.
Yeah, coming up with an idea, they always say that, like, you're not coming up with an idea, you're solving a problem. Because if you're not
Yeah.
solving a problem, you don't have a product. So, like, what was the
Mhm.
problem you solved? It's like, well, draft beer wasn't portable. I was
Was
like, I
there
needed
ever
to
a
make another.
time? Was there ever a time when you were going through all the incarnations and trying to figure this out that you said, "Okay, I'm done. It's not going to work. Forget it,"
Oh,
or were you just hell
never.
bent and determined you were going to do it?
I was gonna say, I was like, oh, never. We just kept finding better and better solutions to the problem because the first iteration was very functional, but not as pretty
Hmm.
as the current version. It
Yeah.
involved a little bit more PVC pipe and trips to Home Depot.
Okay. Yeah, it looked like a true prototype.
Exactly.
Hmm. Yeah, but your product as it exists right now looks very finished, very professional, very intended. So
And I give a lot of that credit to Racine. Her background is in design and user experience and, working together, just keep, every single little aspect. We just kept making it better and better, through trial and error,
mhm.
making it as refined as possible.
I was telling you earlier, excuse me, I think one of the things that I hadn't initially thought about, but it just kind of hit me like, duh. And that is the name, the Cooler Keg, isn't just like because it's a cooler and a keg, but it's actually cooler. It's a Cooler Keg. Like, hey, this is cool.
Well,
So
again,
that's
because it's
one
like,
thing to,
like our whole lives is like what's available on draft. It's only beer.
hmm.
Sometimes you might like they're starting to see more seltzers available on draft, but it was just like, why don't we have more options of what's in a keg? We
Yeah.
need a cooler keg.
Well, there are tons of people that, they're building some really cool outdoor spaces at their home.
Hmm.
They've got some really nice outdoor entertainment areas
Yes.
and, um, you know, beverages, adult or otherwise, are just kind of a part of that.
Yep.
And I love that this also kind of fits right into that niche of I need something cool out
Hmm.
here, something different. And so if people see your product, it's not only functional,
Hmm.
but saves space.
Yep.
I like that it saves on waste
Hmm.
and allows for better taste.
Exactly.
So it solves a lot of problems that aren't really instinctive at first, but
Hmm.
when you really dive into the product and you see how it's used, when you see the makeup of it, there's so many benefits, so many benefits. Um, so if somebody wants to actually lay eyes on this product,
Hmm.
where do they go? What do they do?
So the website is thecoolerkeg.com, and that's cooler
Okay,
with a C and keg with a K.
right.
And then on all the social medias, we're just at the Cooler Keg. So whether
Okay,
it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever their preference.
and they
Uh,
can link to all those social medias from your website too, right?
exactly. But yeah, I mean, just to address one thing you were just saying with the outdoor setup, it is so awesome for that, but it also adds a fun twist because it's so portable. Because like everybody knows somebody who has a kegerator, and they're like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, I haven't used it in 6 months. I've got half a keg of bad beer in there, and it's
Yeah,
unplugged. It's like hasn't left the basement in 10 years since they first put it in there. Whereas this, it allows you to have a kegerator in your basement. You can also take it to your back porch. You can also take it to your garage, to the lake, the beach. It gives you that option, but also the flexibility to take it tailgating,
yeah.
to do anything you want with it. So
Well,
it
that
just,
brings up another issue I hadn't thought about till just now. If you fill it totally full,
yes.
what's the weight with all that liquid in it? Do you
So the
know?
weight is 75 pounds.
Okay.
It's the identical. If you have a picnic cooler full of ice and beer or
Mhm.
cans, it's the weight of the water.
Okay.
Like we
Right.
can't change that. So like, yeah, it's the exact same weight. If you got a picnic cooler full of, ice and cans and I got the cooler keg, it's the same.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I just realized too that there was something that you and I were speaking about earlier. Kind of a project going on with Brian Cobb out there, and he's the Chief Innovation Officer at
Oh yeah.
CVG,
Hmm.
and so he's into his robots.
Yes.
Um, I've met him, and I kind of know him just through other people. But explain to me what that project is with Brian.
Oh, absolutely fantastic guy. So I was lucky enough to see him speak at an event in Cincinnati, and I met someone on his team, and they connected us with a robot company called Autonomy. and they worked with CVG to bring a delivery robot to the airport. And so currently there's a robot at CVG that will like deliver food to your gate or something to that degree. And so their team connected, us, put us in contact with one another. And so we ended up taking our Cooler Keg and putting it on the back of their robot to create a prototype that we actually took to CES in Las Vegas this year. And so it's a draft beverage delivery vending machine, so to speak. So basically this robot could roll around, whether it's the airport, stadiums, trade shows, expos, amusement parks, think of like walking around Kings Island and all of a sudden there's a robot there. You can stop it,
Yeah. Or hotel.
Pay for a drink and it allows you to dispense a set volume.
Yeah.
So it has a lot of fun applications. We'll see where that goes though.
Yeah. I mean, the possibilities are sort of limitless, really.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But you've got to start where you start, and you've come a long way, and it's a really cool product.
Yeah.
Before we go, something else that came to mind is, all right, so you've used this product.
Mm-hmm.
It involves hoses and et cetera, et cetera. Taste is tied to cleanliness. Health is tied to cleanliness. How do you clean the system? Is it easy to clean? What's that look like?
So it's very easy to clean. So the kegs have wide mouth openings. It's very easy to take the lid off. And they're all stainless steel. So you rinse them out. And then basically what I tell people is if you can serve a beer, if you can serve a cocktail, you can serve cleaning supplies. So you just fill the kegs with water and sanitizer and you run that through the lines and that rinses everything out, sanitizes it. So basically if you can serve a drink, you can clean it. It's just super simple.
So all of those ancillary products that support the main product, that's all available on your website as well, correct?
Correct. So we have like cleaning kits, we have extra CO2. So the whole thing runs off one small disposable cartridge of CO2. So you're never having to go get a big canister refilled somewhere. And the cartridges are not proprietary. We do sell them on our website, and we hope everyone supports local, but they're also available on Amazon and from homebrew stores, places like that. So yeah.
Well, support local. That's what we're all about. That's why you and I are talking here today.
I'll say, and we match their prices and we do free shipping. So,
all right. Well, that's good to know too. So for anyone who's listening, again, we want to make sure you know where to go to learn more about the Cooler Keg. And that is pretty simple, thecoolerkeg.com.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you begin your journey into learning about all the cool possibilities and how you can be one of the coolest guys on your block with the Cooler Keg on your back patio this summer.
Exactly.
Or out on the lake or river or wherever.
Exactly. Whether you're doing Bengals tailgating or,
right.
taking the boat down to Lake Cumberland.
The possibilities are truly endless.
Yep.
Well, I enjoyed talking to you today, and I've enjoyed learning about your product along the way leading up to this conversation. I encourage everybody to go to thecoolerkeg.com, learn more, and then just kind of start their own individual journey with your product. And you guys have worked hard on this, and you deserve everything you have coming to you. So
thank you so much.
We'll check in again some other time. And you and I have not met in person, but something tells me that when we do, we'll be drinking out of a Cooler Keg.
Heck yeah, 100%.
All right, brother. Well, it's been nice talking to you. With that, we'll end it. I'll just tell everybody who's listening, until next time, all of you, please be good to your neighbor. We'll see you later.
Thanks for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Union. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpunion.com. That's gnpunion.com, or call us at 859-651-8330.